Yeah, what we've been learning for the past week. That wasn't really recording, but just to recap, we went over our lesson essential question, we talked about what our objectives are for the day, and we talked about our schedule for our coursework today, what we've been doing. And like I said, right now we're doing an admit slip, which is just you writing down 2 or 3 sentences to gain admission into the class, telling me what you've been learning for the past week or so. And I said to Cody that he can write 1 sentence because he just came in today. When I see your eyes, I'll know that you're about done with the entrance ticket, admission slip, and we'll go from there.
We writing where it says my response.
Say what?
We writing where it says my response.
Yep, where it says my response. Don't worry about the prompt, I just gave you the prompt. The prompt was, what have we been learning about recently? Alright, I got eyes 1, eyes 2. Still working on these guys. Give me a couple more minutes. I'll take this time just so we don't waste time passing them out later. I'm going to pass out the things you'll need in addition. You don't have to look at any of these right now. These are just going to be there for your use when I mention them to you. You can keep your admit slip. I'll collect all of this stuff at the end. But does anybody want to share out what their admit slip said? Somebody who's been here for the whole shebang. Maybe Luther, okay?
Talks about how Greekness potentially led to their downfalls, and also about how the word hubris leads to pride.
Okay, so you mentioned the word hubris and its definition. Did everybody hear the definition of hubris? You want to give it to us since it's newer to you? What's the definition of hubris? Pride, excessive pride. And you also said downfall. What do you mean by downfall?
Potential death.
Potential death, okay, that could be one version of downfall. We've seen some characters that don't necessarily die though. So what is downfall in a broader sense? What can downfall be? Maybe from over here. Give yourself a second to think, that's cool. Jalen, how would you describe the word downfall? If I say it means more than just dying, downfall could also mean what? Give me an example if you don't want to give me a definition.
Collapsing.
Collapsing? What do you mean by that? Go ahead with it. I like it.
Like breaking down.
Breaking down. Somewhere the character is here in their life, right? And then they have a downfall. They have something that lowers their status, whether it be their health, like in the form of dying, or whether it be their status in society, but somehow they just kind of take a downturn. Some bad things start happening to them, right? Some significantly bad things start happening to them. Alright, next thing we're going to do, since you guys have your admit tickets done, and since I can tell that you know what you're talking about when in terms of Greek mythology, we're going to do some recapping, and then we're going to have a small discussion. First thing I want to know about recapping is, what are some of the myths that we've read so far? Some of you guys have been here for all of them, some of you guys just a few.
Daedalus and Icarus.
Icarus, Daedalus and Icarus. Daedalus and Icarus. What is the main thing that we remember from Daedalus and Icarus?
They made wings.
They made wings.
Icarus got too much hubris and he flew towards the sun.
Icarus had too much hubris and flew toward the sun. What's the most recent myth that we've read? Think. Arachne. Very good. Right, I'm going to let other people jump in, okay, Luther? Arachne. And Arachne, what was her moment of pride? She said she was the best at what? Weaving, right? And it ended up getting her in conflict with the god, and we'll discuss it in more detail. Do you remember, Jalen, I'm putting you kind of on the spot, the one we read before that, about the boy and the chariot? Phaethon. Yeah, perfect. Phaethon. And Phaethon does what? Drives the sun chariot, which is how we get the sun in the sky. And he mucks that up, right? He messes that up pretty bad. Perfect. So now that I know that everybody and have you read any of these before? Alright, so you're going to be talking about them a little bit blind, but what you can tell from all three myths that we just discussed is that there's a character who does something prideful, and then they experience a downfall, right? Okay, so personal conversation now. You don't need any background knowledge to have this conversation. I want to hear from everybody a small story about their life, and the story is a moment when your pride got the better of you and you made a poor choice, okay? When your pride got the better of you and you made a poor choice. And if you say that's never happened to you, I'm going to tell you to take a long walk off a short pier, because everybody's had a moment where they snapped or something because they were in their bag and they were a little bit too prideful, right? In their bag, as we said. Alright, so I'm going to share mine. Let me think of it. Maybe you think of one too, I don't know. Mine would be, okay, I was playing a pickup game of basketball once, and I was doing very well, and my opponent was doing not so well. My opponent sought to bridge me. You guys know what bridge means? When you jump up, they take your legs out. And rather than just keeping it within the scope of the game, I verbalized some of my issues with him, which he took to a whole nother level, and then I had to walk away from a fight, right? So it could have been that I just took it as part of the game and I let my play speak for me, but I definitely got in his face and I was chirping at him, which caused him to make a prideful decision to say, let's take it to the next level, which is physical violence, which is never really necessary. There's a lesson inside that story. So, what is your prideful moment? Raise your hand if you got one. Derek, you had one since Jump Street. Derek was like, I got like 6 of these from this morning. Like, you know, so, all right, here we go.
It was my first year, freshman year, and I had my first touchdown in football.
Okay.
And then I started celebrating, and the ref threw a flag, and me and him started arguing, and then I said I quit.
Okay. And ultimate, do you play football right now?
No.
Jeez, man, that's a downer. So, extreme high, you were really, really proud, you scored a touchdown, you celebrated to excess. What is that an example of? Hubris, right? He's got you. And then you experienced a downfall. You took the situation so far that you were penalized for the play, and then additionally, it caused you to quit because you didn't like the conflict that you were in, I guess. All right, somebody else. It was a great example. Oh, I know you got some, Jalen. I've seen them. They've happened. Luther.
Well, I was at the Glasgow skate park and I was doing a tail whip.
A tail whip.
Yeah. And this kid tried to copy me.
On a bike?
Yeah.
Tail whip on a bike. I was like, okay. I was thinking of boards, and then I was like, you can't tail whip.
I was thinking roller skates.
Fruit booters. There you go. And go ahead with your story. Sorry to interrupt.
It was, to me, it was the perfect tail whip. So this kid tried to copy me, and I was like, you're not doing it right, you're not doing it right.
Uh-huh.
Same type of incident that you had almost caused a fight.
Almost caused a fight. Now, where would you say, I'm going to let you dissect your own story, where would you say that you were overly prideful?
Where I kept criticizing him.
Yeah, you kept criticizing him. The kids at a skate park trying to get better, and you just felt like your tail whip was so perfect that it couldn't be duplicated, right? It couldn't be copied, right?
Okay.
How about you, Cody? Think about it, because me as a teacher, Miss Amber as a teacher, everybody on this side, I don't know is the only response we probably won't accept. We'll come back to you. Just think about it. It could be something small, right? It could be something very small. Do you have siblings?
Yeah.
Are they younger?
No.
No, they're older. You can tell me a story about when you think somebody else was prideful to you. And I know that older siblings, because I am one, sometimes are excessively proud. Jalen, tell me about an incident where you were too proud. Remember what I just said to Cody about I don't know. How about incidents on, not to put you on blast, incidents on the bus? Have you ever had an issue on the bus where you were reacting out of pride and couldn't walk away from an argument? Does that sound familiar? Can you elaborate on it just briefly in an appropriate way?
I don't even have a friend.
Okay, so let me try to retell it. You confirm it, okay? Because I know what you're struggling with. You were on the bus. An adult made a decision about your life that you did not enjoy or agree with. Instead of accepting the decision from an authority figure, you explained how the decision that they made was disagreeable to you, right? As they became more upset about you not recognizing their decision as a fact, you became more upset, eventually leading to what? Yeah, argue, but what you end up having to wait for a ride because where'd you have to go? Yeah, stay here. You had to come off the bus because you were hot, right? Okay. That'd be an example. How's that overly prideful, maybe? What could you have done that was less prideful? Let's put it that way.
I mean, I could have just agreed with the fact that she was right.
You could have just agreed with the fact that she was right, or right, wrong, and different. You had an adult tell you something in a setting where that adult was in charge, right? So the pride kept you in the argument long enough to experience a negative consequence or a downfall. Hubris, right? Cody, coming back to you, man. I don't forget. Give me something small.
I don't know like that.
Okay. I'm accepting this is your I don't know pass for the next century, okay? Right? You get one I don't know pass per century. I'm going to let you have it this time just so we can move on. I got a nice activity for us planned. It is kind of game show themed. It is called, now I forget the name of my game show, so I'm going to... Oh, the gods react. It's on top of this paper. The gods react. Okay? So on top of this paper, you'll see a brief description of the directions. I am going to read those directions to you now, and then elaborate on them if need be. All right? So I'm at the top of that page. Everybody has that page? All right. Students will act out the actions of a tragically flawed, overly prideful human to the audience of their peers. So see the skits on the bottom? I'm going to give you those as a prompt, and you guys are going to come up and you're going to act them out, right? Little bit, there's candy involved. There's candy involved. After you act them out, everybody who's the audience, meaning everybody who didn't act it out, is going to say, A, what was the prideful behavior that they recognized, and B, they're going to suggest some type of punishment. What do we know? Take your eyes up to me for a second. What do we know about the punishment from gods? It involves death? Not always. Not always. But it is what? You pointed at me, so I thought.
Consequence.
Consequence. It's usually what type of consequence is it? Is it usually like go sit in the corner for 5 minutes and then process with me?
No.
No. It's usually
Like like a war.
a war. Maybe not necessarily war, but I like where you're going. War and death are very, very severe, right? So the consequence that a god gives is usually severe, god or goddess, right? So it's severe and it's usually linked to the crime, right? So we saw, for example, Arachne has these kind of like spider-like qualities, right? She's good at weaving. What does Athena turn her into for the rest of forever? A spider, right? So the punishment is severe. Now this girl has to live as a spider for the rest of her life and only have descendants who are spiders. And it also kind of connects to the character traits that she had previously. So you guys are going to recommend the punishment, and based on the audience of adults in here, if Mr. Gary's in here, if it's me, if it's Ms. Amber, or us in totality, we are going to say who had the most accurate punishment to the myth that's being described, or the most creative, okay? Right? Most accurate or most creative. Luther, I'll see you when you get back. Most accurate, most creative. So, I have some people here, and we might readjust this now, but I have some people here. We can try this at first. If not, we'll get it at the end of the lesson. I just described this, Dennis. We're going to play a game. It's a skit. We'll act out things, and then we're going to have a conversation about them, and I'll explain that a little bit more thoroughly when we come back, when we get to it. Does anybody, for a choice of any of the candy on this table, want to act out any of the skits? Raise your hand if you do. Derek, thank you, my man, the sacrificial lamb. GOT also stands for greatest of all time. So come on up. I don't want to give away which one you're acting out. Come on up. You can take the paper if you want, because you'll need it maybe. You're going to point to which one you're going to do. Which one sounds like one you know? Okay. So you can use your words. You can use props. You can use whatever you want. I'm going to give you the floor for about 30 seconds. All right? So try to use all your 30 seconds. Feeling good?
So who we got?
You are going to wait till he's done. We'll try to identify the myth. Then we'll try to say what he did that was prideful. And there's little descriptions on the page. And then we're going to say, we're going to be gods ourselves, and we're going to say what should happen to him. Okay?
Mr. Ryan, may I have a copy of that?
Yeah, I do. I have plenty of extra copies. Dennis would need one. That's perfect. So we're working off of this. We're playing this game, and we're playing for candy. The person with the best punishment also gets a piece of candy. All right? So, Derek, this is the stage area if you want to use it. Be my guest.
I don't know how to put it in.
Okay. Maybe I would suggest grabbing a piece of paper and rolling it up like a torch to show that you're stealing. You could say basically what you've done.
Oh, okay.
Alright? You can use your words. It's not straight. You can be as animated or as non-animated as you want. Alright.
Yes, he is.
So you don't have to read it, but you can just use the description to influence your behavior. Alright. Ready? Scene. Go ahead.
Alright.
Remember, you can use your words. You can say what you're doing.
I'm stealing fire. Okay.
I'm stealing fire.
Okay, alright.
Okay. You're stealing fire. How does that make you feel?
Good.
That makes you feel good? Who told you not to steal it?
Zeus.
Zeus. So you are doing what?
Stealing fire and giving it to the mortals.
Okay, cool. Excellent. He's the mortal in this case, if you want to give him the fire. There you go. There it is. Now you got fire, Dennis. Use it wisely. Alright, keep going. Okay. Alright. That's great. That's a great first attempt. I am going to kind of give you an idea of how I envision it. You had the fire. Hi, I'm Prometheus. I've stolen fire from Zeus. He said not to give it to the mortals, but I'm giving it to him anyway. That's what I'm looking for. Something like that. And then it shows from the behavior, how did my behavior look? When I said I'm giving it to him anyway, how did I sound?
Hubris.
I sounded proud. I sounded smug, right? I sounded like I knew what's best no matter what. So, for Prometheus, if you look at it on your paper, it's number 2. For the description, we'll start with that. You can get a piece of
I
candy.
thought that was Zeus' son.
Prometheus is, in some examples, he's like a slightly down from the top tier of gods. He is a titan, I believe, and then he, yeah. But you can grab a piece of candy. Now we're gonna do the second part. What about Prometheus's described and acted out behavior shows hubris? Raise your hand. Not you because you did the behavior.
Hello, wait, what you say?
I said, what about Prometheus's described or acted out behavior shows hubris? Dennis, you got the fire, right? What did you think? What did you think was proud about the way he was acting? He gave it away, right? Was he allowed or supposed to give it away? No, right? He did it anyway. So he decided what? What was his decision? He was saying. And what do the gods usually think when they act like when you act like that? What's the reaction usually?
They do something to you.
They do something to you. Okay, so now this is the part that we're playing for the next piece of candy. Take a minute, and I want everybody to suggest what should happen to Mr. Prometheus. If you're close to the real answer, you'll get a piece of candy, or if you have the most creative description. So you get to play God, right? You get to be the person who punishes Derek over here. Derek is prideful, he stole fire, he does not care, right? So I want you guys to think about what should happen to Derek. Alright? 1 minute, go. Think about it, you don't have to write it down, but think about it. Yeah. Your punishment should be a punishment, not a luxury. Everybody got one?
I guess,
Yeah, you can say, yo, I don't care if it's, he should be chained to a post and whipped, right? Like, maybe that's what the punishment is in your eyes, but I want you to start talking about these punishments so that you start understanding some of the internal themes of Greek mythology, right? So what do you think should happen to Derek? Or Prometheus? Let's not have it happen to the actual boy. What do you think should happen to Derek?
Well, since he stole fire,
Uh-huh.
he should be burned alive.
Since he stole fire, he should be burned alive. Is that what you were thinking?
yeah.
Okay, that's what you were thinking? Now you have to come up with a new idea. That was an excellent one. I like that. So what else can we do with fire that would be punishment? I'll give you a hint that his punishment in the real myth, this is a real Greek myth, has nothing to do with fire. But
I don't know, we should get locked up.
he should get locked up.
Put him in like a little jail.
Okay, a little jail for how long?
Forever, I guess.
Forever, eternity, right? God's locked people up for eternity. What's gonna happen to him in this jail? Anything, or is he just gonna?
I guess he just gonna stay there forever.
He's gonna stay there forever. So eternal confinement. Good. Jaylin, what you got? What should happen to Prometheus? Whatever he's called on the block. I don't know. You don't know.
They should burn his fingers or something.
They should burn his fingers. Why his fingers? Because he did what? Because he stole. That's really good. That from everybody. I want everybody who just made a guess to come up and get candy because we got extra anyway.
All gods
So
are
I'm gonna say that yours. Who do you think was the best? So they go first.
Who do I think was the best?
We have burned alive totally, eternal confinement, which is part of his real punishment, which I'll reveal in a second, and then burned specifically his hands and his fingers because he's a thief.
I thought the hands.
I thought the hands. It's very
I thought
detailed. So
everything
Jaylin,
was
you get your choice. You guys can also come up, but she's gonna get first choice. All right?
All gods are immune to fire.
It's just his
Maybe I'll-
fingers burned off.
I'll do some acting.
I'm a Greek mythology person. I'm not going to use fire.
Okay. Okay. You are kind of like semi-immortal yourself if you're Prometheus. Here's what actually happened to Prometheus. Zeus locked him up on a mountainside, so he got locked up for forever, right? But no fire was put onto him, even though those were really good, kind of turning the tables. He was locked there, and every day an eagle would come eat his liver out, and then it would regenerate, and then the next day the eagle would come and eat his liver out. and then he would regenerate, and then the eagle would come, and it would eat his liver out. That's torture right there. So what are we learning about the gods? They are... How would you describe somebody who does that?
That's fine. No, that's crazy.
What? Defiant? I would say Prometheus was defiant, but they are kind of crazy. They don't necessarily have punishments that fit the crime. They usually, it's overkill, right?
Yeah, they just
Right? These are not directed timeouts. These are, you know, eternal punishments that usually involve some type of torture, whether it be mental or physical. What did you have your hand up? I wanted to know what you wanted to say.
It wasn't just his liver.
It wasn't just his liver. It was.
It was like his whole body, and then he would die, and then be brought back to life
Just to have the same punishment again. Very good, Dennis. It was all of his internal organs. Because Greek mythology gets told and retold again, sometimes some tales are more specific than others. So the version that I'm referencing spoke about his liver, but I agree. The eagle probably feasted on all of his innards. Yeah. All right. So next one, can I get somebody to be the actor? Can I get somebody other than Derek to be the actor? Look at some of the descriptions. Huh? I'll let you guys eat it at the end of the lesson. I don't want you munching while we're talking. Next person up. By a show of hands, is this too much for you guys? Do you want somebody else to act it out?
I'll act one out.
You'll act one out? Miss Amber, which one would you like to act out? Miss Amber's here to save the day. You guys.
Do you want to know beforehand?
I do want. I'll play. I trust your skills as a thespian.
All right. This is a pool.
Oh, it's a pool.
So beautiful. Oh, just so pretty. What was that?
What was that?
Oh, yes, I am. Oh, I am. I know. Perfect nose. Perfect mouth. Hair. Just beautiful. I don't know how to act.
Okay. Looking at your descriptions, which one do you think she was acting out?
No, never mind.
The first, I don't know how to say anything.
Narcissist.
Yeah.
And that's a word that we use in, does anybody know what the word narcissism means in the English language?
Fire. No, that's narcissist.
If I'm a narcissist, I see my reflection where I think everything that I do is what? The absolute best, right? The bee's knees, the cat's pajamas. I am the one, right? Like Neo. So, narcissist is this dude, and I like how you said Echo, because usually their myths get put together, because Echo's the person he's hearing. Narcissist leans into a pool of water, he sees his reflection. Echo is somebody who's already been punished to only repeat what the last person says. So he says, I am beautiful. And then he thinks he hears his reflection say the same thing back, but really it's Echo behind a tree. Because he has this conversation going with something that he thinks is so beautiful, he falls in love with it. He falls in love with his own image. What you saw Miss Amber do was touch the ripple, and when it rippled, what happens to a reflection? It disappears. So what narcissist does is what you guys have to point out. He gets punished not necessarily by a god, but by fate, right? So something bad is about to happen to narcissist. First of all, can somebody tell me why he's overly prideful? Should be easy. Shout it out.
Because he compliments himself.
Because he compliments himself too much. He's too self-involved. Another word for that is being vain, having vanity, right? Not being humble. Alright, so what do you think should happen to narcissists? Because of time, we are going to do this, and I'll act out one, and then we could be done with this activity. Right? Candy goes to the person with the best, according to me, and Miss Amber. Miss Amber, what happens to narcissists? What do you think, Derek?
He should be sent to the underworld in a
Okay.
pit of himself,
Okay.
like stuck down there.
Uh-huh. Stuck down there with only versions of himself
Yeah.
forever? Okay. I like that. That's really creative. What do you think, Dennis? Yeah, good one. What should happen to narcissists? He should drown. Okay. What?
Usually you put an electric chair.
He should get put. That's a very modern punishment. Maybe not good for the Greek mythology, but I like it. He should be punished. remember when you're thinking about these punishments, you should think about how they connect to the crime or how they can be excessive, right? If it's a modern punishment that, even though it's kind of not used by humans now, or at least in the United States, it's still like not very godly. You want to take it further. What do you think should happen to narcissists?
I would put him like somewhere with a bunch of mirrors so they get like annoyed by himself.
That's really good. Like 1,000 mirrors. I think that's even been duplicated before in the story, right? So, who do you think had the best or most accurate in this case? Narcissists.
I don't know. I thought Jalen's and Derek's were very similar.
Okay, Jay Lynn's and Derek's are very similar. I'm going to award. I think I'm going to award Jay Lynn for having the mirror piece. I like the mirror because it's still the reflection. And I'm also going to award Dennis because he does drown.
Yay.
What happens is narcissist goes looking for his reflection. After it ripples away, he says, oh no, I have to find this person I'm in love with, dives in, and continues to look around until he suffocates, right? So that's what happens to narcissists. But you said it, he does drown, so come pick a candy. Jaylene, come pick a candy. We're going to do this one more time. There'll be 2 pieces of candy left. This is a lot of candy, so if you have one at the end of the lesson, do not eat any of the others until lunchtime, right? There's a lot of food. So you guys come pick it. Quick. You don't like candy? You're good on that? Okay. I got a cough drop. Alright. Let me do one. Okay. Miss Amber, can you die for me real fast?
You want me to die?
Yeah.
Do I need to like stand up to die?
Die. Oh no, my wife! I'm gonna go get her back. Oh no, a 3-headed dog. Dog goes to sleep. Come up to a bunch of other evil things in the underworld. Get by them. Come to Hades, Lord of the Underworld himself. Oh, she can come with me. As long as I don't look back at her. Fine. We're about out. Oh my goodness, what? Okay, so, which one was I acting out?
6.
6, right? That's
Orpheus.
Oh no, not 6. 5, Orpheus. Orpheus goes into the underworld to retrieve his recently dead beloved. He has to trick people by playing a flute. He is very good at playing this flute. The deal he makes is that he can walk out, but he gets excited at the end thinking he's cheated death, and he looks back. Miss Amber kind of gave it away a little bit, but what do you think should happen to Orpheus? Give me one. If yours is the best, I will give you candy.
His wife should be trapped in the underworld forever.
His wife should be trapped forever. She doesn't get to leave, okay? Anybody else?
Oh, but
Hold on, is she alive? Oh, she's alive.
She's like a spirit exiting behind him, and when she gets out, she'll become alive again. So it's almost like being able to, you know. So, Cody's thinking.
She should be tortured.
She should be tortured. Oh God, Miss Amber, they don't.
They both should be tortured.
They both should be tortured. They should both have to go back to the underworld. Okay. How about you? Do you know it?
The guy should be skinned alive.
The guy should be skinned alive. Oh, jeez. You don't know? Give me one. You've had 2 great ones. What do you think would happen if there was a condition? Not.
She should just not be able to leave.
She should not be able to leave. Here's what really happens, and then I will
she's not
disperse.
allowed to die.
Here's what really happens. She turns into a pillar of salt. So when Miss Amber went like this,
I
she
wasn't
kind of.
even. I was just shocked that you turned around and didn't listen.
Oh, okay. So when he's leaving, he kind of hears her voice, and it's kind of Hades tricking him to look back. How is he being overly prideful by looking back?
He hears a voice.
But what is prideful about hearing a voice? Let's go deeper.
That he actually got her out.
Yeah, he thinks that he did what?
He thinks he rescued her, but when he turned around, he didn't.
It's kind of like you play football. Are you an Eagles fan by any chance?
Nope.
No? Do you know the play where Deshaun Jackson dives into the end zone but drops the ball prematurely. It's exactly that, right? He's about to score a touchdown, he's about to cheat death, and he's like, you know what? I'm just gonna, oh, my bad, right? So that's what happens. That was a pretty good job. You guys should be more embracing of the skip behavior. The last person who had this was you, and Jalen, you've already had two, so you're fine. What do you want out of these, Cody? Butterfinger? Alright, cool. I will save these. The next thing we're going to do, I got to hand it out to you. We're running low on time. We're going to do one of these instead of what I had planned for was two. This is a concept map. Concept map. One of my favorite graphic organizers. If you don't already have it, if you own it, you need to have your text in front of you. So your binder with the story in it, you'll need those. Right? Because we're going to go looking for some textual evidence. What famous word by this point is in the middle of your concept map? What famous word? Hubris. Why do you think it's in the concept map? Why do you think it's in the center?
I don't know, we probably have to find stuff in the text that led to him being too.
Yeah, we're going to find examples. If you notice in your concept map, it's also broken down into 3 categories, right? On top, above the word hubris, what does it say? Definition. What are we going to write for the definition of hubris?
Too much pride.
Too much pride. Write it down. Do it right now. Everybody should know that, especially even Cody, who came in day 1, knows what we're talking about when we say hubris. Great job, Cody. Thanks, Miss Amber.
Yeah. That's where the definition of that, okay? Too much pride, right there. Too much pride.
Okay, everybody got that jotted down? Alright, to the right side, you'll see in marker, it's written the word what? Action. So these are things that characters what? Do, as opposed to the bottom statements would be
What they say.
what they say. So we're trying to, for all the details that we're going to find in the story right now, we're going to differentiate between doing and saying. For statements, does the character have to be the one to say something, or can it be?
What they think.
It could be what they think, if we can find out what they think, or could it be someone else who says something about them that shows their hubris? Yeah. So when we're looking at statements, it doesn't necessarily have to come from the character's mouth. We're going to do this together for one, Arachne, okay, and then you are going to try to use it as an example to compare Arachne with one of the other characters we read. You won't have to necessarily do this, you're just going to maybe write a paragraph on Arachne based on what we get here. Alright, so where do we want to start? Do we want to start with actions or statements?
Statement.
Statements, okay. We're going to go on Derek's because he was the only one to act out something. Alright, so statements. Let's think about Arachne, let's look at the text, and somebody find, you may have already done some highlighting, which should help, find something Arachne says, or that's said about Arachne, that shows she is overly proud. What punctuation symbols should we be looking for? Yeah, or bunny ears if you want to be technical. When you have something, let me know. So what we're doing is we're looking at a story. So what I would try to do is I would try to look for the bunny ears, right? And look for things that the main character might be saying that shows she is overly proud. Okay. Anybody found something? What you got, Derek?
It says, Arachne challenged herself to Athena.
Okay, so when she challenges Athena, so what you would do is down by statements, you would write, when she challenges Athena. Right? You don't have to write the whole quote, but just describe the quote. And what you would like to do, if you can, so that you can find it later, that is a good habit to get into, everybody, is put the page number. Page number. After you describe the quote, when she challenges Athena. Yep, you're good. And when you're done with that, so that's going to go in one of these boxes down here. When she challenges Athena, right? And do you want to say what page that was on for everybody?
I think 65.
65. So you can write P period 65. Jalen, do you have another one? What's something else that is either said by Arachne or about Arachne that shows she is in her pride bag? Think about her interactions with other people. Maybe the old woman specifically. What does she say?
She said,
Oh.
it's easy to say that you are never good for anything in your day, but you will not become good.
Okay, so summarize that quote. What is she saying when she's talking to those people?
Saying,
You can help out, Derek. She's saying what?
she's saying she's the best and nobody, like she's telling people that the old lady doesn't know what she's talking about and she doesn't like have any experience with reading.
Alright.
She is.
So yeah, she criticizes other people who she thinks are not as good as her. So you can write something along those lines down. What were you gonna say? Okay. I didn't want to steal the chance from Jalen, but I saw you kind of connect the dots there, so I wanted to give you a chance to say it. Dennis, have you found one? Have you found a quote? Do you want to have a pencil? It might be easier to write in pencil, right? Than marker. Here, let me get you a pencil. I'll even sharpen it for you. Make sure you guys remain on task over there. Okay. So, if you haven't written it down, we had two things. When she challenges Athena, and when she also criticizes other people who watch her. She says, you guys didn't get good at anything because you spend all your time watching me, because I'm the best, right? Let's find one more thing that she says. What does she say that shows she's proud? What about when they're weaving the tapestries? What does she try to do? What does she say before she does it? She's not allowed to do it because Athena steps in and does something, but she says, I see everybody looking, that's a great job.
She has challenged Athena to a contest, but of course she will not come.
You kind of already gave me that one. We're looking for something different. What did you find, Dennis?
I will not live under this insult.
What's she saying? I will not live under this insult. What is she saying? She's
trying to make herself.
Yeah, she's about to kill herself because she'd rather die than be insulted, right? Isn't that a pretty prideful thing to say? That happens every day at this time. It's a beeping noise from there, so you just gotta kind of ignore it. So, I will not live under the insult. What page did you find that on?
66.
Alright, so you would write, will not live under the insult. Page 66. Or page 66. That's understatement, yep, because she says it. Okay. We're going to have to do 2 out of 3 action. You're going to have to come up with one of the actions on your own. We're going to kind of modify the final assignment, too. Okay? Alright. Somebody give me an action. What does she do? Action in a story. Think about it. It could correspond to what she says. So, what does she do when she sees Athena's work?
Oh, she thinks that she's said to herself that her father's work was great, and now she knows that she's not the best person out there.
Yeah, but I think that shows that she's not full of pride. We're trying to show what? That she is full of pride. So if you were trying to make another case, if you were trying to go the other way with it, that would be a good detail. But for what we're showing her excessive pride. So what is an action that she does? Jalen, you've been quiet for a little bit. An action that she takes. Think about what she weaves when she's challenging Athena.
Her father's colors.
She doesn't only weave her father's colors, she weaves something else that really ticks Athena off. Do you know, Dennis? Dennis, do you want to tell us?
If you want to see her.
No, never mind. You paid.
Yeah, no, maybe you guys together can help us. What is she?
She's insulting the gods when she does it. She's weaving what they do because she's seen Athena weaving what she did to the people that.
Yeah, she kind of weaves a story that shows the god in a not so positive light. So you can write down in one of the action boxes, she weaves an insulting image of the gods. She weaves an insulting or a bad image of the gods. You remember that, Jalen, when that happened in the story? Okay. Think about the last thing that she says. I will not live under this insult. Think about what she's doing when she says it. She tries to kill herself. So that could be another action, right? Just because she says something very close to that, the action, she's about it, all right? She's going to try to do that. And let's try to get one more action, and then I want to explain the last thing you guys are going to do. One more action. Dennis, you're on fire. What do you want to say?
Didn't Athena turn into a spider so she won it? And
That is a detail, but is it an action that Arachne does? Is it something that Arachne does, or is it something that Athena does?
Athena.
Athena, which is good to include, but not necessarily if you're trying to make the case. What is another prideful thing that she does? Maybe go back. We have two things toward the end of the story, so maybe try to find something in the beginning. If it's not a direct quote, right, you can say that she Luther, we are filling out a concept map. I'll help you fill it out momentarily. But we are filling in what hubris is and actions that Arachne does that are full of pride, and statements that show she's full of pride. Which one do you want? You would have been here. Okay. What you got?
It said, surely Athena herself must have taught her. Who else could know the secret of such marvelous skill? Then she
I got
said,
you, Luther. I'm listening.
She said, with my own 10 fingers I gained the skill, and by hard practice from early morning until night. I never had time to stand looking as you people do with another made it work.
Okay, so describe the quote. So that's an action.
She's saying she built this skill by herself. Nobody taught her.
And who gets none of the credit?
Her.
She gets all the credit. Who doesn't get any of the credit? The gods, right? So maybe for your last action, she gives no credit to the gods. She doesn't give any credit to the gods. When you've written that down, what page number did you see that on? 64. It's only a 3-page story, so it kind of makes it easy enough to find. I'm going to ask you, after you've written that down, to flip over your Gods React paper. Flip over your Gods React paper. And I want you to ignore the instructions a little bit. We're going to change it up just for the sake of time. Do you have this paper still? Go ahead and flip it over. Luther, you're flipped over, you're flipped over, you're flipped over, and Jalen's flipped over. The original instructions say, in 1 or 2 paragraphs, explain how 2 of the following 4 characters, Hubris, Daedalus, Phaethon, or Arachne, Explain how their hubris contributed directly to their own tragic fate or downfall. Instead of writing about 2, we're going to write about 1. And who did we just do a concept map for? Arachne. So we're going to use all the details from our concept map to write a paragraph about how she contributes to her own downfall. What does she do or say that turns her into a spider? Okay? So remember, we're kind of looking at this question. How does her hubris, how does her prideful actions that we wrote down on our concept map lead to her downfall? I want you to take the next 5 minutes, you got about 5 minutes left of class, and I want you to write a small paragraph, about 5 sentences, using your concept map, describing how Arachne causes her own downfall. Okay? So you would get to use this, right? Arachne shows too much pride by this, and then you'd have it, it almost builds a paragraph for you. Okay? So we're writing, this is almost our exit ticket. For the record, Miss Amber, we modified a little bit on the fly.
Okay.
Instead of writing about 2 and doing compare and contrast, we just changed it to 1 and
Okay.
used the concept map as the basis. We would have, in my lesson plans, I would modify that. If you have a question, you can raise your hand. If you're struggling to find a way to phrase something, that would be a good time to ask that question too. Are you good? We're about, can I have my last minute? Feel bad. It's like displacing somebody, making them nomadic.
That's alright.
Alright, so this is your exit ticket. Obviously, you guys are going to spend a little bit more time revising and making this paragraph a little bit better. So if you don't finish it right now, that's fine. Miss Amber, I'm so sorry to interrupt.
That's fine.
Do you think that because of time, these guys will have a chance to finish this writing prompt at another
They can
time?
finish it when we come back for lunch.
They can finish it when they come back for lunch. That would be fantastic. I don't want to hold up anybody's rotation. Guys, eyes up real fast. Eyes up real fast. I want to make sure everybody got it. You guys can stop writing. You'll finish it when you come back from lunch. Think about the essential question. Think about how we addressed it today, right? We addressed it by talking about Arachne specifically, but you should start to think about, if you've read them, how the other characters that we've met, their actions and their statements leading to downfall, okay? Thank you guys for an excellent period. I enjoyed being in here, and I hope that you guys have a good rest of your day. So we're going to turn off Mr. Robot.